AITA for saving one sister's life and not the other. I know the title sounds insane, but I really do have an impossible decision to make. I, female, 22, have little identical twin half-sisters, 16, who both have serious kidney issues. They have both sadly reached a point where without a kidney transplant, their quality of life will continue to decline and they might not see the other side of 20. Obviously, myself and my mom are devastated with this news. It wasn't expected that they would be in this position so young. For some background, one of my sisters, Sarah, is very much the tomboy like me. We are really close and enjoy a lot of the same things. We are like two peas in a pod. That's not to say I don't love my other sister, Jade, but we simply aren't as close. She's a little more girly, doesn't have many shared interests as me and Sarah do, and so we just don't hang out as often. I also don't see Jade as much in general. Sarah doesn't like her dad's wife, and so she spends less time with them, while Jade adores her and has always spent more time at her dad's place. Both my mom, their dad, and both of the girls were totally happy with this setup. Jade also begged to go to a particular boarding school, so I don't see her nearly as much as Sarah, nor have I for a very long time. Maybe one weekend a month for the last couple years and some more over summer holidays. I still love her dearly, but I hope it's understandable now that I'm just much closer with Sarah. We were equally close until Jade started doing her own thing and making choices for herself, and I don't in any way begrudge that. I wouldn't say me and Jade don't get along, but there have definitely been some big spats over the years. We all got tested to see if it would be possible to do live donations, and I'm the only match. Unfortunately, I obviously only have 2 kidneys. I can only save one of my sisters. There's every chance they might get a kidney from somewhere else, but right now they aren't a priority and aren't high on the transplant list. I basically told my mom, who told their dad, that I want to donate my kidney to Sarah. I thought about it so much. I know this means I am undeniably saying I love Sarah more than Jade, and I guess I do. Unsurprisingly, all hell broke loose about how I could do this to Jade. How could I be so cruel? Why would I do this? How can I just play with their lives? I've been getting calls and texts from everyone who knows about this. Again, neither Sarah or Jade have been told. I get it. I'm playing God here, but it's my kidney. Yeah, I feel like scum for choosing one sister over the other, but one is my best friend and the other is, well, not. I feel like a monster for saying it, and I know on a fundamental level it's wrong. Part of me wanted to flip a coin or something, but I couldn't. My whole family seems to be demonizing me for making this choice. Sorry if it's confusing. The character count cut me off at it for some repeated questions. Currently, their doctors can't tell who will deteriorate faster. They are currently at similar stages, and their most recent results have given no insight into whether or not Sarah or Jane will be worse off. Only time will tell, but their current treatments are harsh on their other organs, so there is an element of urgency that makes us reluctant to just wait to see who gets sicker faster. If it came down to Jade needing a kidney next week and Sarah not needing one until next year, I would obviously donate to Jade and hold out hope Sarah will get another donor. I have suggested setting up a donor chain to my mom, but this has all happened recently, so it's still up in the air. I have only been confirmed as a match, and I haven't passed through all of the other checkpoints and testing. There's a very real chance I can't donate at all in the end, which is why I only told my mom and not my sisters about how I felt. To be explicitly clear, this question comes up a lot. I don't think either deserves to die. Their parents are undeniably advocating for me to choose Jade, who has, and I quote, such a bright future, but they just haven't said it explicitly. I'm not choosing Sarah because she deserves it. I'm choosing Sarah because I want to save her life. Jade has always been, shall we say, unkind to a lot of people, and her dad has always acted like that. If I could save both, I would. If I can only save one, and the doctors have no explicit results to say one needs it urgently, I would choose to save the one I love, not just the one I share blood with. I personally think I'm an idiot. I think that if you look past the kudos for trying to donate a kidney, I think I'm doing something wrong. It just isn't enough to make me change how I feel, and I was hoping to get an impartial insight here, as I obviously can't get one from my family. Update. To cut a long story short, they both got kidneys. They each got one from the same donor. Our family got to meet the family of the donor, and it was really emotional and amazing, and they're both recovering well. However, before that, a lot of stuff went down that I wanted to update you on. There is now understandably massive divides in the family because of how my mom and the girl's dad outright demanded I give my kidney to Jade, because she was the golden child with a bright future, while Sarah was just, effectively, mediocre. I feel less bad now saying this because she's on the road to recovery, but Jade was a flaming idiot who made Sarah's life hell. I presumed Sarah chose to spend most of her time with mom because we were so close, but it was mostly because of how Jade treated her like dirt, and their dad and stepmom thought it was basically Jade's right as the superior being or some bullshit. I ended up not being allowed to donate, but before this, as many suggested, I spoke to my sisters about my decision. Sarah broke down in tears because it was the first time she ever felt somebody put her first. She told me stories of the things that Jade did with their dad's approval, and I was livid. She said if she was my choice, she wouldn't feel guilty knowing it might mean Jade won't get a kidney. I made it clear that I chose her because she is good and amazing, and I loved her, not because Jade was a horrible person. I then spoke to Jade, and calmly explained that I had to pick, and well, as she knew, we weren't very close and Sarah was a kindred spirit that I was always with. I wasn't surprised that she was mad. I mean, how else would you react? But I didn't expect her to spew such hate, that I'm wasting my kidney, and I'm probably an idiot for it. But I didn't care if she was sick. I effectively said if she hadn't been such a nasty witch her whole life, maybe she wouldn't be dealing with this. And it's a shame that she might have only learned on what may be her deathbed that she won't always be everyone's favorite, and she can't treat her own sister like dirt. I've never simultaneously felt so happy and so guilty for getting something off my chest. Due to character count, I can't explain the poop she did, but it's horrific. In any case, about 2 weeks after that, Jade asked me to come visit her and said she'd thought about what I said. I apologized and explained that I knew about everything she had done, as well as the fact Sarah had already resigned herself to death because she knew the whole family would put Jade first. After many tears, things seem to be okay now. She's slowly mending bridges with Sarah. Sarah will be moving in with me soon, so she can finally have a home where she comes first. Jade said she'd like to visit sometime too. So yeah, all wrapped up. Edit. So apparently I can exceed the count after the post is up. First, I'm definitely skeptical of Jade's sudden change of heart. I totally respect situations like these can have profound effects on people, but I can't fathom being that horrific to anybody and suddenly be a whole different person when you get caught. I will support her in good faith, but will do my best to keep my eyes wide open for anything suspicious that makes me think she isn't being sincere. Obviously, a lot of people are asking about the things Jade did, and I can't share all of them before the rules. But when they were still in the same school, things were particularly bad, but the pattern continued when they were at home together. I don't want to talk about everything in detail, but it would be things like taking Sarah's food and calling her fat. Sarah is absolutely not fat. As in, she'd grab Sarah's dinner and throw it in the bin, then proceed to eat her own food. She'd sometimes do this in school as well, so other people started calling her fat. They shared a bedroom, and Jade used to try to deprive Sarah of sleep. Jade would wear earplugs and set alarms randomly. Anytime Jade woke up, she'd just go over and shake Sarah awake, then go back to sleep herself. She'd wait until just before school to go to Sarah's bag and rip up her homework or assignments. Sarah said she mostly stopped doing homework the night before and just did it in between periods where Jade couldn't do it anymore. Some other things would include hiding the tampons and pads at their dad's house. They weren't supposed to go into the master bedroom, and Sarah would be screamed at for stealing their stepmom's tampons. Edit 2. I felt I needed to make this edit to make it clear that kidney failure in general is not a massive death sentence. As I have learned a lot since my original post, there are amazing treatments that can let people suffering from kidney problems have decent quality of life, and I don't want to misconstrue the reality of having kidney problems before I terrify anybody reading this story. My on your deathbed remark was, to call it what it is, very over the top and a result of strong emotions, and I did apologize for being so needlessly dramatic to Jade. Not the idiot. It sounds like you may have said something to Jade that she needed to hear. You know what is way worse and more toxic than being straightforward to someone even if it's unpleasant? Holding in ill feelings and letting it fester, as there is no resolution to those feelings without talking it out. Not the idiot. For Sarah, I am glad she had someone in her corner this whole time. Her dad needs some cognitive recalibration because he is a complete off. Stepmom too, picking one daughter over another to the point of her knowing they would let her die to save her sister. It makes me so mad just thinking about it. What would you have said to Jade? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for arguing with my wife over her preferring to sleep with a body pillow over me. So my wife gave birth 8 months ago. During her pregnancy she was having trouble sleeping, so I bought her a pregnancy body pillow that was a lot more comfortable for her. However, even after giving birth she prefers sleeping with the body pillow rather than me. She just says she's used to it and finds it more comfortable to sleep with. Maybe I'm just being dramatic, but it feels like she just doesn't want to sleep with me. I'm often sleeping near the edge of the bed using a separate blanket, and I just feel a lot more lonely. I brought all this up with her and she told me that I'm being more of a baby than our newborn with all this and to just deal with it. This led to a big fight where we were both yelling at each other. I don't think either of us said anything particularly hurtful, but it's not the norm in our relationship to raise our voices like we did and argue for as long as we did. Outside of this, our relationship is more or less fine. I mean, I obviously still love her and I'm sure she still loves me. Basically, am I the idiot for starting an argument over something like this? Some people seem to think that I'm jealous of the pillow. This isn't the case. I don't think she loves a pillow more than me. I just would prefer we sleep together and not with a pillow between us. I didn't think this was relevant, but just so you guys know, we have a nanny that takes care of the child from Sunday, Thursday. We both take turns on Friday and Saturday nights when we have to, so it's not like I'm expecting her to do everything. Also, I am not asking her to cuddle with me all night or let me spoon her or vice versa. I just would like it if there wasn't a pillow between us. Update. So a bit of a weird update since my wife actually saw this thread through her coworker. She texted me asking if I was looking to buy a new bed and I said yes without thinking much of it. She then linked me to this thread and said we would talk later that night. Not in a bad way. We sat down and she apologized for calling me a baby and I apologized for starting a fight over something so small. She said that she really enjoys the pillow but we can get rid of it and sleep together instead. I told her this isn't necessary and that I would deal with it, but she insisted. I've ordered her a new body pillow that just covers one side of her that she could put on the opposite side of me, so hopefully everyone can be comfortable. Everything worked out and we have been sleeping together for the past couple weeks now. The new body pillow came in and is on the opposite side of her. She switches between me and the pillow every now and then and it's not a big deal. A lot more comfortable to sleep now too, haha. Thanks to everyone who PM'd me giving me advice as well as those giving advice in the comments. I tried to emphasize this as much as I could in the comments, but seriously, my wife and I never fight. And this was extremely out of the norm for us. Everything is good now though, and we are going to start doing date nights again on Saturday and it's been going well. Feels more like our relationship when it was just starting out in the honeymoon period kind of thing. But yeah, everything's fine now. To be honest, it was always fine. This was just a minor thing that somehow got blown out of proportion. I barely remember, but I think we were both just stressed with work that day, so we ended up getting into a silly fight. Seriously, I love my wife, so hopefully no judgment by you guys on the one comment she said back then. She's honestly a really good person. I made an update thread a few weeks back but was a few days early for the minimum, and someone commented on the old thread a few days ago, so I remembered to repost the update thread today with a few more updates. Thanks everyone, not the idiot. I'm glad you guys worked things out. I'm sorry I missed the original post, but just wanted to chime in that I too had this exact body pillow when I was pregnant. God, while I was pregnant, that thing was a lifesaver. My husband called it my bed because it took up so much space. It was like my own little bed inside our bed, haha. Needless to say, he was pretty glad when I switched back. I was too. I usually sleep with a one-sided body pillow and it works well for us when I'm not preggo, and we can spoon again. It got lonely, but I can totally see how both of you would have felt. We didn't get into any fights about it, but I can see how it would happen, especially with the stress of a newborn in the house. AITA for period shaming my daughter. I'm a 41 male and I'm a single dad with a 13-year-old daughter, Lacey. My wife died in childbirth and it's just been me and Lacey all her life. My sister has been a big help in raising Lacey, and we do keep in contact with her maternal grandparents. The issue started a couple of months ago when Lacey started her period. I knew this day would come, so I spoke to my sister, my female best friend, and my mother-in-law to be well prepared. I talked with her grandmother and aunt there. I buy her pads and tampons. I even have middle and heating pads ready for Lacey when she needs them. The problem began when I began to notice a smell coming from Lacey's room. I went in to investigate and found pads and tampons openly disposed of in her wastebasket. I checked her bathroom and it was worse. She had her blood-stained undergarments in the tub. I took out her trash and did my best to get rid of the smell, but I didn't know what to do with the underwear in the tub. Later, I noticed bloodstains on the couch. It took a while of cleaning, but I got them out. I figured that was the end of that. It happened again last month, when I noticed Lacey's room was stinking again, and I saw she didn't even wash the underwear from before. The bathroom was unbearable at this point. Then earlier this week, I saw bloodstains on the couch again. I sat Lacey down and told her that she had to learn to properly dispose of her feminine hygiene products and wash her underwear as the smell was becoming too much, and to be careful of getting bloodstains on the couch or anywhere she sits. I also noticed her sheets had a lot of bloodstains and brought this up too. I also let her know that it was okay to get blood on things as long as she washed them, and I wouldn't be upset if I saw her blood-stained items being washed. Lacey immediately blew up at me saying that periods aren't gross and that I was period shaming and that I needed to educate myself on menstruation. I then got texts from my sister and mother-in-law scolding me for making Lacey feel ashamed of her bodily functions. But I honestly wasn't trying to convey that periods are gross. I was trying to convey that her hygiene needed to be addressed and that the smell was becoming unbearable. I just wanted to make sure that Lacey knew how to properly dispose of pads and tampons without it smelling, and that I wouldn't be annoyed if she washed her blood-stained items. Am I the idiot here? Was I period shaming my daughter? Edit. So I've mentioned it in a few comments. I talked to my sister and mother-in-law and explained my side. They apologized for misunderstanding and, like you guys, have given some good cleaning tips, and they'll talk to Lacey and help her out with the pads and tampons to EDIT too. So many people here have suggested it, and I've asked Lacey if her period pain is unbearable or just normal cramps, and left the choice to her as to whether or not she wants to see a specialist, but the option is there for her. EDIT 3. We have washed the sheets with hydrogen peroxide and purchased some OxyClean for future instances should we need it. Many of you have also suggested period underwear, which again, I have asked her aunt and grandmother about, and I'll be able to give her more info about those as well as different hygiene products she can use. Update. It's been a while since my opus, and I remembered the outpouring of advice and support I got from this community. I figured I would give a happy update involving a good smelling house and mending fences with Lacey. In my opus edits, I let everyone know I heeded their advice about cleaning methods and different feminine hygiene products outside of pads and tampons. I let my mother-in-law and sister handle things in that department. They also showed her how to properly dispose of items like pads and tampons and clean bloodstains prior to throwing them in the laundry better than I could. I also spoke to Lacey and asked if she'd like to talk to a therapist, after also scheduling an Gin visited her aunt and grandma's urging, so we've scheduled a video visit with both. Waitlist suck. She also had her period sometime back and was on top of her hygiene. I didn't smell a thing, and I even saw her doing her laundry. I did, however, want to make sure Lacey didn't think I was trying to shame her and turn everyone else against her. So I sat her down and reiterated that I loved her unconditionally and that I wasn't mad at her for the smell and bloodstains, and that I noticed she improved with her hygiene. She appreciated that. Lacey also apologized for getting defensive and admitted that she was still feeling awkward about her body changing and how it was really beginning to dawn on her that she didn't have a mother. She's never really spoken about that before, so I got takeout from her favorite restaurant and we watched her favorite movies while I told her about the memories my wife and I shared and how she couldn't wait to be a mother while we went through photo albums. All in all, we're a happy and clean home again. I hope Lacey will be able to better work through the loss of her mother with the therapist. Myself and my sister and mother-in-law are around for support in that area too. So things are looking up for both myself and my daughter. Not the idiot. Okay, whoever's cutting onions needs to stop right now. Not the idiot. I hope this doesn't sound condescending, but as a mother of girls I am really proud of you. It takes patience, guts and humility to act the way you have, following up and showing love and care. You're a good dad. Not the idiot. I remember this post and it's good to see an update. My parents didn't prepare me for periods unfortunately, and when I first got it, at school in the middle of class, I had to rely on my male gym teacher for guidance. Lol. It was incredibly awkward, and to say I was angry at the world was an understatement. Going through this phase will come with its ups and downs, but you are honestly doing a great job. She's lucky to have a strong support system and a great dad. Do you think this dad did the right thing? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for not sharing my prize with a mentally handicapped person in a contest. Every summer my community has a cook-off competition. Usually about 20 minutes 30 individuals or couples try to cook something and then they can win a portion of the entry ticket fees while the rest go into the community parks. It's not summer yet, but they decided to do it early. This year it was pasta sauce. I've been going to these for years, ever since my wife and I moved here, but this is the first time I entered as a competitor. It was earlier today. One of the other competitors, I know she is somewhat, only in passing, is a 15 or 16-year-old with Asperger's syndrome and autism. I don't know much about this condition evidently. I'll call her Jessica. I guess a lot of people got wind of her being a part of the competition that we had news crews here taping her to put on the news. We've never had this before as far as I know. To make the story short, I won the competition, and $1,500. There's no second or third place prize, the winner takes all. My wife and I were in shock because I like to think of myself as a decent home cook and take pride in my pasta sauce specifically, but to win a contest, we were tickled pink. We celebrated for about 20 minutes when the event organizers came to us. You might be able to guess where this is going, but they asked if we'd give our prize to Jessica as a gesture of goodwill. They said they'd get some publicity since news reporters are here. We obviously said no. $1,500 is a lot of money. So they then asked if we'd like to split it, 50 over 50, with Jessica. Likewise we said no. I guess some nearby patrons overheard the conversation and chimed in. Apparently we're assholes and jerks for not sharing the prize at least. After a few moments, there might have been 10 other people all clamoring to us about how we're a disgrace to the community, etc. We had to leave and haven't collected our winnings yet. We're meant to tomorrow from the mayor's office. I can't even imagine what's going to happen tomorrow. Are we the assholes for not splitting our winnings with a disabled child for a cooking competition? Update. My wife went yesterday to collect our winnings and they shorted her $500. My wife is of the timid type and didn't want a conflict, so she took the reduced winnings and had a few choice words but otherwise didn't contest it. They gave the rest to Jessica. They made up a fake story to her that they made a second place prize on the spot and Jessica won it. Thanks to the generosity of my wife and I, this was all bogus. We made a post on our community Facebook page saying we had a great time at the competition but didn't appreciate the comments we received or how we were treated. I guess Jessica's family got wind of this and contacted my wife to meet up earlier today. Jessica's family gave us the money back, and while they were excited at first, couldn't take it under false pretenses. They found it condescending to give Jessica a prize just for having ASD. It was a joint decision between Jessica and her parents. We talked a bit and learned Jessica only joined because she's writing a cookbook for an Asperger's syndrome organization. She's apparently an avid cook and has trouble keeping everything consistent every time, so it's half for her and half for this organization. Part of why she went to the competition is to raise awareness of the cookbook itself as well as ASD, ASS, and hopefully win, of course. We didn't know any of this at all, and I guess this is why the organizers wanted good PR. My wife asked her if there was anything she could do and she could. She's going to help out where she can or if Jessica needs assistance. Things like editing, photography, etc. I guess everything turned out okay for everyone in the end, except my contempt for the competition organizers. Not the idiot. Organizers are true freaking assholes. They literally stole the money from you after you told them no. Jessica and her family are great and I'm glad they thought it was condescending too. Because it is. Frick those organizers, not the idiot. The audacity of those people is insane. Acting as if they're doing something good just because they're helping someone with a disability. As if acting can be good despite being done with ulterior motives. As if stealing from someone else's achievement is fair, as long as it's to give to another. I hope that organization gets some recognition along with the cookbook. And that you and your wife have a nice life. Should they have shared the money? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for telling another gym member to wear a bra. I, female, 25, freaking hate wearing bras. They're uncomfortable, constricting, and expensive. With work from home, I spent the last year and a half basically never wearing a bra and got used to it. Quite frankly, my boobs are non-existent anyways. I recently started going to the gym again and started working out braless. I should note that up until now, no one has ever pointed out anything wrong with me not wearing a bra. However, in the middle of a set of squats, yes, MID squat, a guy comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder to get my attention, and tells me that my nipples are poking through my shirt. I get really irritated because why is this guy staring at my nipples in the first place and then stopping me mid-set to inform me? I get really annoyed, try to finish my set, but then this fucker literally grabs the bar as I ascend and re-racks it for me. He claimed it looked like I was having trouble with the last rep, and that he had come over to make sure I could do it, then noticed my nipples. I'm really freaking pissed off at this point and told him I didn't need his help finishing my set and why the frick was he looking at my chest in the first place. He said he was going to spot me, but then noticed my chest and thought it'd be inappropriate. I pointed out that the safety bar was set, so even if I did fail the set, he wasn't needed. But he just insisted people at gyms look out for each other, and that going forward, I should probably wear a bra so other people wouldn't get uncomfortable and that it may help me stay more balanced in my squats. I'm literally the only girl at the weights section of the gym at the moment. And other guys who were squatting and failed sets never have to worry about this poop. I've seen guys fail multiple sets in a row and no one ever rushes to their aid. But I have a very slight pause, and everyone thinks I need rescuing. So I'm now really annoyed and also kind of uncomfortable that this guy I've never spoken to in my life thinks he's helping me and then has the audacity to tell me how to dress. So I tell him you have bigger boobs and nipples than I do. Maybe you should wear a bra so people won't get uncomfortable and you won't fail your squats. He then got really defensive, saying he was just trying to help, then called me a witch. Honestly, I'm not sure if I overreacted, but I'm still kind of pissed off, so maybe that's clouding my judgment. Am I the idiot? Edit to add. I'm not sure if people think I'm walking around and it's extremely obvious my nipples are showing. I actually really hate constricting clothes. My t-shirt size is X small, but I wear size large to the gym and pretty much everywhere lately, and you can't tell my stomach from my chest. My nipples might have been showing a little more while squatting because I was wearing a lifting belt. Update. I finally did start wearing bras again, and not at all because of this incident, but because I'd been dealing with depression that made me not really try to get dressed in general, not just at the gym. And dressing for success has been a small way to try to get myself back into a better place mentally. Anyways, the guy goes to the gym roughly the same time I do most days, so unfortunately, I did have to see him again. Even though I really wanted to grab his bar out of fake concern while he was squatting, I mostly ignored him. Until 2 days ago, I was deadlifting and recording myself to check my form. The guy comes over and says something like, you know, sumo is cheating, right? I get this comment a lot, mostly from men half joking, and it's annoying, but I just completely ignore him. He repeats it a little louder, and I continue to ignore him. I guess he sees that I was recording myself because then he asks if I have an Instagram. I don't post my lifts on Insta, and if he could follow me. I keep ignoring him. Finally, he says something like, see, your form is so much better now that you're wearing a bra. And I freaking lost it again. I screamed at him that he's a disgusting, harassing piece of poop. Honestly, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was, admittedly, very vulgar and got a lot of attention. A worker came over and asked if something was wrong, and I said that the guy was sexually harassing me for 2 weeks and asked to speak to a manager. The guy denied it and said he was just trying to help, and that I was being sensitive. But either way, the manager asked what was going on and got both our stories. Because I had been recording my lifts, I actually had a video of him where he commented on my bra. So the manager gave him a 30-day ban and told me that if he ever bothered me again to let her know, she would permanently ban him. So I feel kind of vindicated, but I also feel a little frustrated that just one man actually saw consequences for this kind of behavior towards women in the gym. It's nice to see someone have repercussions for their actions, but it's also exhausting dealing with this kind of thing constantly at the gym, even if it isn't quite as overt. But I guess I'll have to keep calm and lift on. Not the idiot. Well done. I'm glad he had his ass given back to him. He had no place talking to you like that. Who the hell does he think he is? His opinion isn't important like he thinks. You shouldn't have to, but it was well worth recording your sessions. Keep kicking ass. Not the idiot. Opus. I just want you to know this has been an ongoing joke in my house with my fiance since you posted your opus. I read it to my fiance and he died laughing about us women having balance issues because we don't wear bras. I constantly am braless and now we joke about how I'll topple over with my bra on. I'm so happy you got him banned for 30 days. But please be careful leaving the gym while he is banned. Some guys get revenge and are legit creeps who will get violent. Stay safe. AITA for not wanting a relationship with my parents. Now they've cut me off. I'm a student. My parents make enough money that when I went through student finance to get my maintenance loan, I was told I could only get the minimum, just over $3,000 a year, because finance is calculated from what your parents earn and there's an assumption that your parents will help you out. I'm on a high-intensity course and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to balance studying and schooling. So when I found out I was going to get minimum, I told my parents I wanted to either take the coming year to save up and then go to my first choice university a year later than planned, or go to my second choice now because I wouldn't be able to afford to live in the city my first choice is in. My parents then said that they would pay my rent if I went to my first choice on schedule. They set me up in a studio flat, so all I had to do was get a part-time job to cover the cost of food and bills. On the 18th of February, my 20th birthday, they called me and said that I was relying on them too much and needed to find out what the real world was like by earning my own money, so they would cover my rent and phone for that month. So until end of February, and after that I was on my own. Then said that they were still my parents and they loved me and wanted me to stay in touch, just learn some independence while doing this. I begged them to reconsider, but they ended the call, so I had 11 days notice that I would have no flat or phone. I begged my uni for emergency housing, but they said that I had no proof I'd been cut off, so they couldn't do anything. I emailed my parents asking them to write a letter stating they'd cut me off so I could sort my student finance and emergency housing, but they said no. I asked work if I could take on more hours and was told that due to my contract I can't do any more than I'm already doing, so I'm now looking for a second job. I'm sleeping on a friend's sofa until a place I can afford opens up, and as I still don't have proof I've been cut off for student finance, I will probably have to drop out this summer. I got a Facebook message from them today telling me they were disappointed I didn't call on Mom's birthday a couple days ago, and that I've not given them my new phone number yet. I responded telling them the position I'm currently in and that I no longer want a relationship with them. I've gotten a bunch of messages from them and my brother's asking me to reconsider. My friend says I shouldn't feel bad, but I feel incredibly guilty and like a spoiled brat. Because I don't love my family for their money, I love them because they're my family, but at the same time they've really screwed me over here. Am I the idiot for not wanting a relationship with them? Update. I messaged them asking why they cut me off, saying the least they could do was explain why they're fine leaving me homeless. They responded, "My friend, the one I'm staying with, is an out and proud lesbian. There are maybe 2 posts about me on her social media, one being a group shot of us and some people we were studying with in the library with me and her sat together, and another from a couple days before my birthday where she posted a photo of me when we went to lunch because we weren't planning on seeing each other on my actual birthday, and in the caption she refers to me as princess in a clearly joking way. My brothers then showed our parents and told them I was a lesbian and she was my girlfriend. So now I have proof that they cut me off, proof they're homophobic, and confirmation that they can and will switch on me at the drop of a hat, as well as proof of my brothers, who are older than me and living with our parents, being jealous poop heads. They didn't just tell me this on the phone because they hoped I'd figure it out, which is tricky given that it's not freaking true. Apparently there's enough affection still there for them to expect a call on Mom's birthday, but not enough to not totally frick me over. So yeah, never talking to them again. Any of them. I've sent the screenshots to the person I spoke to in emergency housing, though I've been warned that for something called emergency housing it's not very fast. My friend has said I can stay with her as long as I need. The reply my parents sent hasn't explicitly said the phrase "we cut you off" but given the context of them replying to my message asking why, it should be enough. Thanks everyone. I felt really shitty cutting them off over finances, but now I know they're pure freaking evil. I don't feel so bad. I've also sent my parents the screenshots of my brother confirming that he and my brother lied about me, and they're very apologetic, but that doesn't change anything. As my brother's live with my parents, I hope they're all very happy together right now. New plan. Changing the focus of my studies going into 3rd year to focus on the subjects I want to do, not the ones my parents wanted me to do. If I do this, I have a far better shot at getting a work placement. It's far less popular than my current field of study. And if I get a work placement, I can spend my 3rd year working full-time, earning a bit of cash, and then resume my studies the following year. Failing this, and if I can't get any help from the university or student finance, then I will defer my 3rd year and work full-time for a year. My friend says I can stay with her as long as I need and has said if I can't get emergency housing but can sort out my placement or another job, then we could get a place together next year so I have a confirmed roommate. I no longer think I'm tough, so I'll probably be taking this down. So here's the thing. I might not be straight. I'm figuring it out and I don't really have the capacity to go through it right now. But I've never said anything to anyone, at all, ever, because I knew my parents were homophobic. So my brothers may have thought they were lying, but they also may have been inadvertently correct. And I have to say being correct by accident is very typical of them. Update 2. So here's how everything has shaped up. I won't be getting emergency housing from uni. I've not heard anything and there's less than a month left before summer, so I'd be shocked if I got it at this stage. I'm still living with my friend. She got me a job at her workplace but refuses to take any rent off me, so I've been repaying her by sneakily buying food and cooking her dinner as I get home before her. We have plans to move in together this summer, ready for next year. My parents have done a complete 180 and now want me to forgive them so badly that they're still refusing to sign a letter showing they've cut me off, so I'm still fricked with student finance. My parents have also offered me my truck back, so me, my roommate, and 2 more friends will be going to my parents' house sometime soon to collect my truck and some things from my room. My tutor has written a letter for me for student finance which they might accept, but I'm waiting to hear back. My course changes were approved, so now I'm doing what I want, not what my parents want, and it looks like I got my work placement. So I'll be either working and studying part-time for 2 years or working all next year and finishing studies the year after. Either way, I'll be adding an extra year to my course, but I get paid and get relevant experience in my field. Ultimately, everything seems to have worked out as well as it could. Thanks to everyone who commented, because a lot of you had great advice and thought of stuff I didn't, and I was truly concerned that I was in the wrong, so thanks for the reassurance, too. I will also be booking a session with the on-campus mental health professional because this has really shone a light on just how fricked up my family is. Thanks again, not the idiot. I've had to do this before. Go back somewhere I once lived and pick up my things. I called the police non-emergency line and asked for police peace mediators to be there when I retrieved my stuff. They showed up on time and stood there on the lawn while I moved my stuff out. I ended up bringing bagels to the station for them the next day because they truly saved my butt from a horrible time. Not the idiot. Wow, I hate people that say everything happens for a reason. But at least now you know who's got your back in this world and who doesn't. You've got an amazing friend. It's disgusting any parent that would screw over their child for having a same-sex partner, and I can't say any more without breaking rule number 1. Would you ever cut your kids off like this? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for wanting to send my teen daughter to a weight loss camp. My daughter is 5'6" and 15 years old. The last time she weighed herself at the doctor's office, she was at 238 pounds. She is morbidly obese. She was always a chubby kid who loved food and hated activity no matter how much her dad and I tried to get her to dance, play sports, go on walks with our dog, etc. She would refuse. I regret not taking her to a nutritionist earlier, but I thought that she would go into puberty and her weight would eventually be okay. Unfortunately, when she was 11, her dad and I decided to get a divorce. No special reason, it just wasn't working. We co-parent well, we're friendly, we go on trips without daughter, etc. But the divorce impacted her negatively at first. She started gaining a lot of weight around that time, so we decided to take her to a nutritionist who recommended therapy for her. She initially lost about 15 pounds, but she was already very dependent on food. Now, she's a food addict. Her emotional eating was something she used to cope with the divorce until she adjusted. But now it's all about compensating for not having friends, compensating for not being pretty, compensating for not being liked by boys, etc. She still goes to therapy regularly. She doesn't suffer from depression or another health condition that might cause her weight gain. She is simply addicted to food, and at her vulnerable age, mentioning her weight to her makes her very upset and uncomfortable. Her dad and I both know this, and it's been causing arguments between us. I'm a very active, fit person and I try to lead by example. No junk food allowed in the house. I cook as much as I can or I get healthy meal delivery, and this makes me the bad guy. She's into the whole body acceptance movement, and she sold the story to her dad, who now allows her to raid his pantry. And they eat junk together just so he wouldn't upset her because she's daddy's little girl. He's happy that he gets to be the good guy, and I'm the villain who doesn't want her daughter to settle because I want her to live past 35. I encourage her to love herself. I want her to embrace how amazing she is, but I don't want her to accept her condition as something normal that can't be changed. I'm tired of seeing how miserable she is because of her weight, and I'm tired of thinking about all the diseases that could kill her. I found a great weight management treatment facility, edited instead of camp, because it's very different from the infamous fat camps for teens that's 6 hours away. I've done my research, but her dad doesn't want to sign for her to go there from January to July. We can visit her and she can come home once a month. She can go to school there, make friends and get healthy. He says that I'm being a selfish idiot and that our daughter doesn't want to go. She told me that she will think about it, but I think that her dad is loving his role as her superhero because they've bonded in the past months, and will encourage her not to go. Am I the idiot? Edit 1. Again, I've explained everything about this treatment facility, her current therapy and approach to her eating disorder. The fact that the choice is ultimately hers. Yes, we do have a dog, and no, she doesn't want to walk him. No, this isn't a quick fix. No, I don't think my daughter hates me. Edit 2. I sound like a broken record. But please read through my comments before asking the same things over and over. There's a word limit here, and obviously not everything fits in the post. The facility does have therapists, specialists, doctors, and all types of health professionals. They do have ed programs that she would be a part of, and she would be in touch with her current therapist because she has a hard time opening up to new people, so that would help her. I double and triple checked everything and talked to so many parents and employees, but it's ultimately her choice. My fear is that her dad will cloud her judgment by bribing her with food. Edit 3. Thank you guys for all of your responses. I've received a lot of great advice. Your own experience with Ed personal stories, support and empathy. I appreciate all of it. I'll no longer be replying to comments because I find myself trying too hard to reach people who are twisting my words and using them against me. Maybe I'll post an update within the next few weeks when something happens, but things definitely will change around here. Again, thank you all. Update, hey Reddit. So, my ex wouldn't even consider sending our daughter to get treatment for her eating disorder. We missed the sign-up deadline and my daughter had moved in with her dad full-time thanks to his encouragement. He loved his role as a good parent, and I lost it when my daughter told me that she had stopped talking to her therapist. Desperate, I filed for sole legal custody and a change of housing arrangements in my favor. My ex was upset that I did it without notifying him first and my daughter refused to talk to me at all. I was exhausted so I started therapy alone. My therapist told me to write a letter to my daughter and that's exactly what I did. 4 days later she agreed to meet me. We didn't talk much at first but she was happy that I started therapy. She told me that she misses her therapist but her dad told her that she doesn't need therapy because she's fine. She also said she misses me but she wasn't ready to move back in with me because of how controlling and restrictive I am. 2 days later I asked her to go grocery shopping with me and I had set aside $50 for her to choose the groceries she wants to buy for our home, in case she comes back and to show her I was ready to change. In the meantime, my ex got served and my daughter and I went through another period of very little contact because of it. Mid-February, she decided to move back in with me if I put the legal actions on hold. This was a smart tactic on her dad's behalf, I'll admit, but she was finally back with me so I decided to focus on that. I realized that I made the mistake of competing with my ex so many times when I should have focused on my daughter instead. It's been over 2 months and my daughter hasn't spent a single full day at her dad's place. They hang out but she chooses not to spend extended periods of time at his house. She's been seeing her therapist since moving back in and she's in a better place now. It took losing her for me to realize that I needed to change too in order to improve our relationship. I learned to relax more and stop being so tense and constantly moving. And she is starting to understand that I'm doing all I can in her favor. She's decided that she wants to lose weight, 23 pounds down, and is hoping to improve her health before college. We have snacks, pizza night, and we bake a dessert together every weekend. Those things I would never allow before, but we're both learning balance. She still doesn't like to exercise, but we do go on late night walks around the block and she's doing more chores. Our relationship has never been this genuine. We have a long way ahead and I'm preparing for the low points that are bound to happen, especially with her dad. But I'm appreciating what we have now. Edit. Just a quick edit to say thank you for all of your kind, supportive and informative comments. I appreciate it. I apologize if I don't respond to everyone. Edit 2. She follows the approach of intuitive eating combined with balanced meals that don't deprive her of any food type. This way, she's learning the concept of balance and abandoning the concept of food as a coping mechanism or a punishing tool. As far as physical activity goes, I'll definitely talk to her and see if she likes any of the recommendations you have given. While I agree that weight loss can be achieved even without physical activity, I think that abandoning her sedentary lifestyle step by step, literally, is another way of getting healthier since weight loss isn't a primary goal. I don't have much else to say about her dad other than the fact that I've just recently, with the help of my therapist, realized that he's a classic Disney dad. I know some of you think it's wrong of me to take him to court, but I would stop at nothing to help my kid. I wasn't going to sit back and let him baby her into death and self-loathing while removing her from my life. Not the idiot. I love this post so much. Growing up, I was an overweight, obese child too. I used to beg my parents to let me go to therapy but I didn't need it and therapy meant something was wrong with the parents. It was very hard to cope, and I turned to hiding food, developing very disordered eating, and terrible mental mindsets around food. My mom lost a lot of weight and developed disordered eating when I was 12, so it really kicked off a decade of emotional struggle, highs and lows in my weight, and probably a lot of damage to my body. It took going to therapy on my own in my late 20s to correct the damage. Not the idiot. I remember seeing your original post and thinking, wow, not the idiot. I could see how you were maybe a bit harsh. I'm really glad you realized that even if you were right, things needed to change a bit. So many times when we have these conflicts, everyone is at least a little bit in the wrong, and it takes work from every single person involved to improve the relationship and solve the problem. AITA for saying that if my parents have another baby, I want nothing to do with it. I know the title sounds bad, but hear me out. I, 17, female, have had a rocky relationship with my parents since my siblings male, 10, male, 7, female, 3, male, 1, were born. I was an accident baby when my parents were teenagers and they have told me in arguments that I ruined their lives. However, this is not what this post is about. My parents are notorious workaholics and constantly accuse one another of cheating. It's stressful for everyone in the house, young ones included. All of my siblings have had paternity tests. Because they work so often, though, it means I am often left, for sometimes 48 hours, to care for my siblings alone. This has gotten so bad that the 9-month-old and 3-year-old sometimes cries for me instead of our actual mother. I cook for them, make sure they get to school on time and do their homework, I clean and play with them. The 10-year-old invites me to his football games. I don't get time to do anything for myself. Well, last week, me and my parents were arguing again. They want another baby to bring them closer together. I was furious and straight up told them that they didn't look after the kids they already had and I'd just end up having to look after another one. I told them that if they have another baby, I want nothing to do with it and they will be all on their own. They called me an awe and said I was trying to ruin their marriage and their careers. I spoke to my grandma about it and, while she sympathizes with my situation, she says I should be supportive of my parents trying to fix their marriage. She told me it was my duty as the oldest sibling to care for my younger ones and I was being kind of an awe and should apologize to my parents, but I still don't think I am. So here I ask, Reddit, am I the idiot? Edit. We do have a nanny come in 9-4 for the 9-month-old while I'm in college, but that'll probably stop when he starts school. Edit 2. After all your comments, I have spoken to my aunt in detail about the whole situation and she is horrified. She's my dad's older sister and has unfortunately never been able to have kids. She's the closest thing I've ever had to an actual parent, though. She told me that I need to talk to my parents about this and she'll stay with me while I do it. I messaged them that we need to have this talk tomorrow and it's non-negotiable. If they don't turn up, I'm calling CPS next time they leave me alone with my siblings. Simple as that. They're annoyed but have agreed to come. I'll keep everyone updated. Edit 3. So, we have spoken. My aunt was with me the entire time and I couldn't be more grateful for her support. I told my parents that they needed to grow up, basically. I told them pretty much what you had all been saying and said they had until I was 18 to build a proper relationship with my younger siblings, a good 10 months, and find a more suitable situation for while they're at work, otherwise I'm calling CPS. My aunt even offered to have them live with her. She's a freaking saint. I told them that I no longer wanted a relationship with them, however, and I would be moving in with my aunt within the next month, but I will be coming over all the time and my younger brother, Tenyo, will receive my old phone to keep in contact with me while I am not there. My aunt only lives a 45 minutes walk away, so it won't be too bad and she will drive me there in a rush if needed. My parents were furious with me, said I was ungrateful and that I don't love my siblings. I told them that I was doing this because I loved my siblings and I wanted them to be better parents for them and I had to leave for that to happen. I've also spoken to my siblings who are also upset with me, but the 10-year-old understands and the younger ones know they'll see me pretty much every day. My parents have threatened to have my aunt arrested as I'd be moving in with her underage and without their consent, but I told them I'd show the police every single piece of evidence I've collected over the years and then they'd lose all their kids. Overall, it didn't end well, but it needed to happen. Maybe I'll update again in a month or so, but for now, this is goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for all the responses and advice. Well, here's the update. So, since my first post, things have been chaotic. I moved in with my aunt and have had the opportunity to be an actual teenager for once in my life. She's been letting me go out with friends, cooks the majority of the home meals, is my shoulder to cry on. But unfortunately, things haven't been all good. About 2 weeks or so after I moved in with my aunt, my mom showed up at the door with all 4 siblings in tow. She looked a mess, if I'm going to be honest, and my mother has always been a very put-together woman, so I was kind of worried. She said she'd tried but she couldn't do it. She wasn't cut out to be a mother. She begged for me to come back. The kids also looked miserable. The male 7 and female 3 were clinging to me. The baby was crying and male 10 was just silent. He's usually a huge chatterbox. I told her I was not coming back, but my aunt repeated her offer to take in all of us on the condition that they had no more children. My aunt is a well-paid woman who's always wanted children but wasn't able to have them biologically and felt like we were close enough to hers anyways. She has a fairly large house already but has said she'd move if need be. My mom just broke down. She said she didn't want to give any of us up, but she just couldn't be who we needed her to be. She admitted that her and my dad were considering a divorce and I encouraged her to seek some professional help. In the meantime, my siblings are staying with us. We collected the majority of their belongings and my aunt has hired a nanny to be with us when she can't be. My father has gone no contact and the last we heard my mom was seeking therapy and having supervised visits with my younger siblings. Despite her trying now, I just cannot forget all those years I lost because she wasn't cut out to be a mom. I can't get over how many times I broke down over how stressed I was. I still love her, but I can't let her be my mom now when she wasn't when I needed her most. So, not all sunshine and rainbows, but some progress was made. Thank you everyone for all the advice and support. I am also in therapy thanks to my aunt and beginning my own healing process. I hope you all had a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Update. My aunt has decided to take them to court for custody and I don't think they'll put up much of a fight for it. She's hired an amazing nanny that all the kids love and, while it's really hard, I'm trying to stop parenting my siblings and be their sister instead. There's still a long road ahead, but thank you all for the helpful advice. My siblings are thriving here and so am I. We still have not heard from my father at all and my mom drops in and out as she pleases. That's the update. Thank you again, not the idiot. I'm so glad your aunt is a wonderful woman with the resources to help, and I'm so sorry your mom is suffering. You have nothing to be sorry about. She's the mom, you're the kid, and she failed you. I hope she can get some help so that your younger siblings can maybe be raised by a capable mom. Not the idiot. I remember feeling so awful for you. I still do, because you were robbed of your childhood. I am, however, really happy for you now. You stood your ground, made positive changes to your life, and for sure completely changed the trajectory of your siblings' lives in ways you probably can't imagine. Therapy is also huge, so congrats on that step. If you continue to put in the effort, you will have a bright future. Did she do the right thing by going to her aunt? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for not allowing my family to see my daughter until after they explain why she wet herself. My daughter is 7 and autistic, partially verbal. During high-stress situations she goes mute. Anyway, she went to my sister's house all happy on Friday. It was a whole family get-together. I had to run and deliver some packages. I was gone for like half an hour. Anyway, when I got back she was in different clothes and very clearly upset. I asked what happened and my sister told me she wet herself after she couldn't have a chocolate pop. Now, here's the thing with my girl, she would never wet herself purposefully. She has extreme anxiety surrounding her toileting, to the point of therapy. I don't know what this anxiety is caused by, but it's pretty severe. She was clearly very distressed, so I just took her home. In the car she broke down sobbing, but was unable to tell me what happened. As soon as we got home she took herself upstairs and put a pull-up on. Pull-ups being accessible for her is a recommendation, so she has more control over herself, and has been super cuddly since. She hasn't been using her devices or signing at all. She has 2 therapists and she's due to see them both in the next week to see if they'll be able to help me understand what happened. Family has been awful. My sister, mainly, who is still claiming that she was being a brat and is doing this all for attention. I've since told every family member they will not be seeing her or me until the truth has been told, which may be overkill, but I don't think my daughter would want to see anyone anyway. Obviously this has upset a lot of people, especially those who don't know what happened. I'm standing by my statement. If my sister won't tell me off her own back, pressure from other family members may help her along. I'm slightly concerned I'm being a major ass, though, to those who want to see her and now can't. I'm starting to feel quite bad, despite having explained my situation in full. Am I the ass here? Update. First things first, my daughter is okay now. She's talking some, although not much. She's back to using her communication device, though. She had play therapy on Monday in which some things she acted out were minorly concerning. I apologize for not going into detail. Family have found my act and I'm trying to protect her privacy. She started talking again that day, too. There was immediate concern between myself and her therapist, which was then conveyed to her second therapist, who she sees on Thursdays. I am happy to say we have answers, however. On Wednesday my dad called me. He's been feeling guilty and was desperately trying to figure out what happened. He eventually convinced my mom to get it out of my sister, at which point my sister confirmed what most of you guessed. My girl asked for a Choco Pop, got told no and a yell BC. My sister was frustrated with food. Kiddo got scared and then realized she had to go to the toilet, but at this point was non-verbal. She tried to get my sister's attention, who assumed she was after the cake pop, and was yelled at again. The last part is a little messy, but one of the men then yelled at her again, effectively scaring her into wetting herself, at which point she started crying and her cousin went and found my dad for her. Everyone who was present basically agreed to not tell me the full truth, so I didn't go mad on them. I was upset, and still haven't opened contact with everyone. Although my dad did come see her yesterday and came to therapy with us, which I think helped. The therapy session essentially confirmed what had been said, and we're upping her to 2 therapy sessions with that therapist a week. We are still trying to gauge if 2 play therapy sessions are needed too, or maybe just lengthening the existing one. I still have not spoken to my sister because I do not believe I would be able to be civil. My dad and I are working to rule out family members that were definitely not involved to hopefully have her see them more, as that's something her therapist recommended. I hope this update is satisfactory. I was going to wait until we had it completely figured out, but that could take months, depending on how my daughter deals with things. Again, thank you all for your comments, advice, and suggestions. AITA for those who asked, I worked out how many people were there. My dad, our mom, my sister's dad and his wife, and then her dad's mom. Our mom has 6 kids, me and her included. My 5 siblings were there, but one is a kid himself. Then my sister has 2 half-sisters, a stepsister and 2 step-brothers. All of the siblings rounded up have partners who were present bar 2, which is 21 adults. Then amongst everyone, my daughter and kid brother included, there were 29 kids, which then rounds the total count of people to 51 if you count me, which is a lot of people. I think I got all the math right. Anywho, it's taking a while. Some of the kids are teens and we're trying to figure out if it was maybe one of the older boys that yelled at her, which is why they're still keeping that secret. Not the idiot. Thank you for this update. I'm sure many others like me really wanted to know how your daughter was doing. Glad to hear she's at least doing a little better. I can't believe your sister and other family members involved put the blame on your daughter instead of just owing up and apologizing. You keep being a brilliant parent and do what you feel is right. Not the idiot. The biggest problem for me here is that an entire house of adults agreed it was acceptable to lie to you about something that happened to your child in their care. The yelling was also unacceptable, but the lying is so much bigger than the incident itself. It's so incredibly wrong, and it really makes you wonder what else they'd be willing to lie about regarding your sometimes non-verbal child. You're well within your rights to never talk to them again. And I might not if I were in your shoes either. What would you have done if this was your daughter? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for getting angry at being told I'm not a parent. The background: 12 years ago, my best friend passed away during our last year of university. The accident shook us all, and no one more than his wife, who was at that point 4 months pregnant. All three of us had been incredibly close friends. She couldn't do it alone, and her family lived 2,000 miles away. After speaking to her about it, I made a decision. I was the more financially stable of the two of us. I'd secured a position at a law firm. This is in the UK and had some inheritance from my grandparents. So, I became that base of support. I took her to the doctors, helped her with rent, got her groceries, etc. when the twins were born. I moved onto her couch for 3 months, helping in any way I could. For the next 4 years, it worked like this. We lived separately, but I'd spend half the week at hers, helping with the kids. From diapers to preschool, I was there. I was never officially their parent. No papers were signed, but I gave emotional, practical, and financial support. When they began schooling, I was listed as a non-parental guardian. I was then offered a promotion, which included a lot of travel. Again, when I spoke, and I decided to take it. I spent the next 2 years making it back once a month. I'd spend 3 minutes 5 days with them, then leave again. For 2 years after that, the balance became half and half travel, home. For the past 4 years, I've used the UK as a hub, doing business trips, and have gone back to spending 3/4 days a week with them. To be clear, this whole thing has never been romantic. Well, she and I have seen other people, and in the past year she's found a very nice guy who both the kids like, which is great. The issue at hand: I've always tried to be there for the kids' big events, school plays, birthdays, tournaments, etc. I've been to parent-teacher meetings, taken them to the doctor. Recently, their school had set up a show, fundraising thing, where the parents are invited to come and donate generously. I assumed I was going, and set aside time. But when I broached the subject with she said she wanted her partner to come. I said that we could all go. She said it was parents only. I said, jokingly, that he wasn't really the kid's parent, to which she said, well, technically neither are you. At that point, I got angry, feeling that it was deeply unfair. We got into a fight, and it ended with me being told I wouldn't be welcome at the event. I left, and we haven't spoken since. I get that she's their mother. She has a genetic and legal position that I don't, and I'm not angry about her wanting her partner to come to the event. Being told that I wasn't a parent though, that hurts a lot. I think it's mostly the fact that for me, the way she said it really seemed to imply that I wasn't important in their lives, and I think I was justified in reacting. But that's why I'm here. So, Reddit, am I the idiot? Update. Well, it's been a long several months, and a lot has happened, so I thought I'd give Reddit an update. There were a lot of not the idiots and no idiots here in the last post. But a lot of you're not their parents as well. A mixed field, but a fair assessment. For the record, I did not attend the show, but was delighted by the pictures. After, as many of you lovely Redditors pointed out, the best thing to do was to talk to we'd been best friends for over a decade. I'm happy to report, we continue to be. I'll give you the short end of the situation. And I spoke a lot. It started with little steps, but we got to the big issues. My link with the kids, her new partner, the whole deal. Little by little, we got things set straight, and where we both sat on them. As some of you rightly guessed, there was a lot to untangle, but 15 years of friendship saw us through. The next phase was talking to the kids. First then us together. I'd already gone back to seeing them, and as I mentioned before, their welfare has always been the priority. Surprisingly, the conversation was more straightforward than it had been with somewhere in the middle. We also spoke. There was a lot of speaking, with A's partner, who I will be calling B. The beginning wasn't the smoothest, but we got there. Here's what came out of it. The truth of the matter is, I'm not the twins' biological father, but what we realized was that somewhere in the past 12 years of sharing our lives, and despite trying so hard not to overstep boundaries, I fell into the role. I can't separate myself, and they don't want me to. So slowly, we've been working on what this new, unconventional normality looks like. B has been a surprising godsend in all of this. I really think A's found a good guy. I'm still mostly called by my nickname, but the slips have gone uncorrected. In the meantime, B's gotten his own moniker. A little way down the line in all of this, COVID-19 became a thing, so we decided to take a big jump. I moved in. For the duration of quarantine, it was easier than moving their whole household into my flat. No better way to put an arrangement to the test. I'm back to my university days of sleeping on the couch, working at the kitchen table, and cooking every dinner. I've stopped not one, but 2 doomed attempts at self-dyeing hair, and had a conversation with one twin about taking my surname when he's older. He thinks it makes his name sound cooler. I've said that we'll ask his mom. So Reddit. I hope that this can bring a bit of joy to the Am I the Idiot community. It's not easy, we're adjusting, and we know that this will remain unconventional. However, the kids are happy, and we adults are too. P.S. To the Redditor who named me as the Intercontinental Super Uncle Warbucks, when this is all over, I'm getting that on a mug. Edit. Thank you all so much for the well wishes. I'm glad to have been able to share this lovely update with you all. Edit 2. A lot of you lovely folks have inquired about adoption. In the UK, there is no option to adopt someone you are not related to unless you are apply for an adoption order, which would sever the link with the living parent, or B, are the partner of their living parents. As can be seen, neither would work for our case. However, we figured out a system a long time ago, and it includes what to do if anything were to befall. The kid's safety is always ensured, I promise. Not the idiot. This is the best outcome possible. Those kids look at you as their father. Parents are the people that show up, not necessarily the people you are related to. Luckily, those awesome kiddos now have 3 humans that know how amazing they are, which is just so awesome I can't put it into words. Not the idiot. I went back to read the first part, then read this. You're just a wonderful person, Opus. Even A and B, those twins are so lucky. This is a great way to resolve and nurture those kids. All the best wishes and lots of love from us Reddit strangers to you and your family.